What's up everyone? My name is Zach and this is my channel Ultimate Rebuilds. I like to build a lot of cool, unique things, basically whatever I want to build that week, and I kind of build it. This episode is all about the free Volkswagen Beetle I got from my friend and fellow YouTuber Sam Crack. He surprised me with it, did not know it was coming. We'll talk a little bit more of that in a second, but yeah, this is what the whole rundown of the build was. To start off, Sam Crack and I would work together on a lot of his projects. I'd be doing a lot of painting and body work mostly. I'm not really a mechanical guy by any means, but I can paint and do body work. So anyway, we were talking, and he was talking about like what kind of car I would want because I was currently driving a Mazda that was in rough shape. So I was like, I really miss having my Beetle because I used to have a 2013 Volkswagen Beetle, and I was telling him how much I missed it, and I really want to do a custom build on one with a custom paint job. So we were talking, and he's like, hey, if you want me to bid on one, if you find one you like, I'll bid on it. So I found this one, and we bid on it. He told me, though, that we lost the bid, and I didn't think anything of it. So fast forward a few months, he tells me that he needs my help with something. He's going to be working on Euro cars, which the whole conversation seemed a little kind of fishy. He told me to stop at the gate because the gate wasn't working, so he had to come help me open the gate or something like that. It's just a lot of weird things going on. So I was like, there's something's going on, but didn't really think much of it until I got there. So I get there, I see his truck is like kind of blocking something, and I'm just like, okay. Anyways, tells me his truck's having problems to come up there, park by it, and I see him holding his phone in his hand, which I'm like, okay, whatever. He talks on the phone a lot, so I didn't think anything of it. Just a lot of like weird things going on. So he says, surprise, look. And I'm just like, wait. And I'm like, oh, shoot, what's going on? This is the bug I thought we were buying, and yeah, it was. This was the bug that I thought we lost a couple months ago, and I've been looking for other bugs to buy, and he's been saying like all these bad things about these other bugs I was looking at. He's like, nah, you don't want that one. You don't want that one. And turns out he had this one all along. So the whole Euro car that we were going to work on that day was actually my bug. So first thing started off, we couldn't get the hood open because the whole wreck kind of ruined it and made the latch lock in place. So had to cut that open. The hood wasn't savable anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Got the hood opened. Battery was completely dead, so we had to find another battery to throw into it. Ended up not starting, so we looked at the compression, and there was zero compression on every single cylinder, which is never a good sign. So the motor was pretty much shot. Tried it on all the cylinders, nothing was working, and yeah, thought it was kind of dead from there. So he took his little scope in, see what the whole damage was, and it wasn't good by any means. There's marks on all the cylinder heads, and yeah, all the mechanical terms that people know. Just know that the motor was not savable. You have to really rebuild the whole thing, and not really something I was looking to do. And so fast forward another couple weeks, we were talking back and forth. He's like, hey, we can run this through with the auction again. We can sell it. We don't have to keep this one. You don't have to rebuild this one because it's in pretty rough shape. So I was like, no, man, I really want it. I actually do really want this thing. I think it's going to be really fun to build. It'll be a nice little rebuild series. And then he surprises me again with a new motor from J&J Auto Wrecking. They showed me it and sent it out to my house free of charge. So another shout out to Sam. Yeah, Sam's just a really great guy, and I really appreciate him for this because this is what it's my favorite car, and just to have another one on the channel to rebuild for everyone is really nice to have. So it's at my house, started tearing it up. I was looking at all the damage it needs replaced, all the fenders, the hood, front bumper, figuring out what exactly my plan was. So decided to take everything off and dig into it, see if any kind of damage underneath it, and just try to get a rundown of what all the parts I needed. So taking out headlights, everything, trying to walk through it with you guys with this video. Ended up taking off the radiator and everything because that was all busted. The AC condenser was busted, and got the new motor in. So I found a guy to put the motor into my bug for $400. He did that in one day, which was absolutely insane. I shout to him. I didn't get on video. I should have, but I didn't want to bother him when he was in the shop working, so let him do it because I didn't want to put the motor in, and I just don't have the tools for it at the time, so I didn't really want to mess with it. Anyway, got it in. It's running now. It starts right up. I put it all back together. I put the new AC condenser, radiator in, all this stuff. Was running it. Runs perfectly fine. It was awesome. This motor only has like 46,000 miles on it, and the body of the Bug only has like 80,000 miles on it, or 60,000. I can't remember right now off the top of my head, but it's really low miles all around. So this is like pretty much a brand new car again. Running great. Everything's fine. Not throwing any codes, which is really nice. I'm enjoying it right now because it's nice to have a running good car that I like again. Anyways, start putting body panels back on. I bought this hood and it came damaged, so I was gonna resend it back, and they told me just to keep it, so I decided to fix it, even though it's in pretty bad shape and it's not gonna be perfect. But for the paint job I was doing, it didn't really have to be. So now I'm doing all the body work, kind of fast forward through all this because it's not really super exciting. Body filler, glazing putty, and then high build on the whole thing. Then I got the rest of my parts in, started bolting it all on, trying to line up everything. I ended up getting an aftermarket front bumper. That's the newer model, because they changed the front bumper model in 2016, I believe, 2017. Make it look a little bit more new, modern. So doing a little bit of body work to the back bumper, because I didn't notice that at the time when I was doing the rest of the body work. Priming that in, got the used front fender because I couldn't find, or used rear fender because I couldn't find one new that was a decent price. Had a little bit of body damage on it that I fixed. Yeah, just a lot of body work right now. Kind of fast forwarding it through. Primed it all, and then it's going to be starting to paint. Everything's primed, took all the body panels off, primed the insides because I like all the trim to match, so you don't open the door and see a different color. So same thing with the hood, painting the hood, it's the same color I was going for. Color I chose was this tan color. I thought it was going to be more green. I imagined it more green, but I do end up liking the outcome. So painting all the trim, painting all the inside of the fenders and everything, the tan color, and getting it all ready. And all this stuff is going to be thrown back on the car before I paint the final color. Now I'm sanding the rest of the car, getting it ready to be primed, and I took all the doors off too because I'm going to paint the inside of the doors too, so you don't open it and see a different color. That bothers me a little bit, so decided to paint the rest of it all the same color. So priming it, and then now I'm painting the inside of the trunk, the color, get it all ready, because that's just the hardest part right now, is just having it all apart and painting all this stuff. So getting all that painted, and I'm using this satin clear coat that I really like. I actually really like this brand. I'm going to be using it more in the future. Laid really flat, and it looks really good, I think. It might look shiny in this video, but it's not shiny at all in the daylight. I think it's kind of wet right here, so that's why it looks really shiny. And I know a lot of people didn't like it like that, but it's pretty flat in the daylight. So that was one thing that all my friends noticed. It's like, hey, it looks shiny in the video, but in person it doesn't look shiny at all. All right, the roof is going to be painted black because I like the whole black kind of contrasting the colors and kind of the rust and making it look like a window up the top. And then I also painted like a lot of the other trim parts black because I wanted it to look, I still wanted the patina to look kind of made on purpose, but also people know it's not really made on purpose. It's a style choice. So I thought the black would look really good, the shiny black. And this is one of the best clear coat jobs I've ever done. No dirt in it at all. It was really nice, especially for my garage and everything. Painted all that black, and then I ordered a new spoiler because I broke mine, and painting that to match. Top's gonna be black, and then the bottom's gonna be the tan with the rusty. Got all that painted. Now to sand it down one more time before I throw the final coat on it. That way it's all smooth. Taping it up one more time too. Get it all taped up right, and then throwing the white on. The white is the side panels. I was going for like a classic look that's kind of rusty. A lot of the classic Bugs have like a white on the side and then a color on the rest of it, so that's what I was kind of going for. You don't really see the white too much after the rust because the rust kind of tinted it into a darker color. It was a lot whiter when I was painting it, and I imagined it being a lot whiter too. This is the black trim piece to kind of separate the white and the tan. This was very difficult to do. Fast forward through it, but it took me like an hour to tape all that up. It's very difficult. Now time to throw down the color. Exciting part, kind of seeing it all come through, and it looks really good. I really like it. All laid really flat. This Eastwood gun is awesome. If you guys need a gun to use, Eastwood CC500, use that. Now I need to kind of sun fade it a little bit, so I mixed the tan and the white together to make like a lighter tan make it look a little sun faded. Did this on purpose, and I was going to use an airbrush gun, but my airbrush gun wasn't working, so I just used my Eastwood gun, and it turned out really good. I actually like the whole I kind of like the whole rustic look of it, and it looked really sun faded and cool. I actually kind of liked it just like this. It looked pretty awesome. And peeling the tape was so satisfying, seeing it all come together. And at this point, I was like, man, do I really want to rust it? And I know a lot of people are just going to hate the rusty part, but it's what I wanted to do. I wanted to stand out and do something really different, so I sent it. This is only my second time trying this. I tried it on a test panel to make sure it worked, and just went for it. And it turned out pretty freaking awesome. It's rusting right away. Everything's laying really good. It looks very natural, I think. And doing the rest of it, trying to imagine how it would rust over time, and also referencing the other rusted bug, J.W. Carty's beetle that he did on, trying to get his whole perspective too, because he did a really good job on it. So I was trying to kind of replicate that more too. So I was trying to replicate that and try to make it match. And rust is looking really awesome. It looks kind of natural, I think. Hood was like the most satisfying part because it rusted like really cool, and you see like a bunch of different colors in it too. Right now I'm kind of cleaning up some of the runs a little bit. A lot of people didn't like the runs in it, and I liked a little bit of it, but not like as much as there was originally. So I cleaned up some of it and trying to smear it out, make it look a little bit more natural, because it was just rusty and in really clean paint. So I was trying to make it all match per se. I don't really know how to explain it, but I was trying to like spread out the rust liquid a little bit more to try to make it look a little bit more natural. And it looks pretty freaking awesome. The whole time doing this, I was sending pictures to Sam. I was like, this is turning out so awesome, man. And I was sending pictures to J.W. Carty because he taught me how to do it, and he's loving the look too. It was really awesome how it was turning out. So now clear coat again. I put 3 coats of clear on it to kind of protect it. I didn't know how well the clear was going to hold up, and after a few months, the clear is holding up fine. It's starting to bubble a little bit in certain places, which is to be expected for the rust to kind of come through the clear coat. So, but it kind of adds to the whole final. It kind of adds to the whole final look to it. You know, it's not really meant to look. It's meant to look rusty. So, as long as it keeps rusting in certain places, it's gonna be fine. Threw the tires back on, threw it back together, and it looks really awesome. Now this is the point that I was deciding whether to lower it, or I thought about lifting it. No one really lifts the new Volkswagen Beetle, so I thought, you know, it might be kind of cool to make it look like an old apocalypse rusty Beetle, and that's what I went for. It was kind of mixed between a lot of people. Half the people wanted me to lower it, half the people wanted me to lift it, so I kind of just went with my gut there and decided to lift it. You can see all the colors right here of the hood. It looks really cool. While I was waiting for like the whole lifting components to come in, the raised springs, the lifting blocks, the new wheels and stuff, I was painting the rest of the trim because I wanted it to all match. So this is all like the grill stuff. I wanted it all to match the shiny black parts, so painted all that too, and painted the chrome trim and getting rid of all the chrome that was on the car because it didn't really match at all. Looks a lot better. And then I also decided to clean up the seats in the interior because the seats were disgusting. It has a lot of cigarette burns. Carpet was really gross, and the whole car smelled like cigarettes and just nasty. It smelled so gross in there. Couldn't sit in there for more than a couple minutes without just gagging because it was so bad. Pressure washed the carpet, and nasty stuff came out of that. Decided to paint the rest of the interior to match the outside because that's kind of what the classic bugs do. Interior matches the exterior on the color wise, so I wanted it all to match, so I painted it with the white and then rusted it, and turned out just as good as the outside. I'm getting pretty good at it. It's a nice little skill to learn how to do. It's pretty cool. Definitely going to use it for future projects too. Probably not another car, but maybe do a jet ski in rusty. I think that would be really cool. Either way, it's a cool little technique. I'm glad I learned it, and glad it worked out and actually looks really cool, because if not, taking this off would have been a nightmare. It gets sanded down to bare metal again, basically. All the panels are done. Now it's back to cleaning the seats and sucking up all the nicotine and just years of just body oils and stuff. It was so gross, but this little machine worked really good. Got it out, and the smell was back to normal. Throwing the carpet back in after it dried, throwing all the panels back in, and yeah, it looks pretty freaking awesome. Definitely unique. seats back in and everything. Now for the headliner also soaked up a bunch of the smell, and it was also starting to fall a little bit, so I decided to go ahead and redo it. I was going to do it in black again, and I actually did do it in black again, but I didn't like it, so I pulled it back off and decided to do something custom. This is a fleece blanket, and I like the whole plaid to it because a lot of the older Volkswagens had plaid seats. Kind of like a callback to it. Plaid kind of matched the rest of the car, the vibe of it, kind of an old, just kind of pieced together Beetle. I like it a lot. It's a nice little feature to add in the rest of the car. I kind of wish I added more to the rest of the car, like another plaid like shifter boot or something. Maybe I'll do that in the future, but I like it now. And the fleece blanket is really easy to cover with headliner, so if you need to do that, if you need to redo your headliner, a blanket is actually really easy to do because it stretches and covers a lot of the arches and stuff on headliner. Now time for the more custom pieces. I know I was going to go Baja with this, or Apocalypse theme, so I needed a roof rack. So I bought this roof rack on Amazon. It was a little small, so I decided to cut it in half and it kind of expanded a little bit more, and turned out pretty awesome. I added little legs to the ends and welded that on. Testing it up, make sure it's all fitting right. I didn't want to scratch the roof, and trying not to add too much weight to the roof because it's not really made for a full-on roof rack like this. Added rough country LED lights, which are really awesome, matches the whole vibe of it. The LED pods kind of throw back to like the classic Volkswagen Beetle Baja bugs. Painting it all black to match the rest of it and lighting it up super bright. Really awesome. Now time for the lift kit. This is VolkswagenLiftKits.com lifting plates or lifting boot things. Really easy to install if you just want to do this. It adds an inch to your Volkswagen. They sell it for all different kinds of Volkswagens, but this is for the Volkswagen Beetle. Also sell lifting springs, so all together with the springs and the block-off plate lifted at 3 inches. So this for the rear end was pretty easy. The rear end was really easier than the front end. The rear end took like maybe 30 minutes to do. Very easy. Threw it all together and threw it all back together. 3-inch lift, just like that. And you definitely noticed it. It was really high now. Now for the front end, it was a lot harder. I actually had to buy a special tool to take off the axle to get the whole front spring out, and had to compress the spring a lot to get it all put back on. This video doesn't do it justice. It takes a while. It's not super easy. It's just really it's just time consuming, really. It's not hard by any means if you have the right tools, but it's just time consuming. Second person would cut your time in half because it was really hard holding that spring up there and getting the bolts lined up. It was really frustrating, but now it's lifted and it looks awesome. I'm really glad I'm going with the whole lifted Apocalypse vibe to it. It's cool. I want some rough country LED light pods that shine down. I think they're called rock lights. Just another aspect to it. I think it's gonna be cool. Ended up throwing their rough country light switch into the little cup holder by the cup holders on the inside, and it matches very well. Super awesome. This whole thing was like really easy to hook up. You just hook up 2 wires and it just automatically runs all of it to that switch panel. That makes it really easy to hook up. Have all that hooked up underneath my driver's seat and very easy to get to. Now it's time for the wheels. These are Mamba off-road wheels. These are 15-inch wheels. 15 inch is the smallest wheel you can actually go on these, and I wanted something with a small wheel and then beefy tires because I wanted to look like an off-road vehicle. Threw the tires on there. I bought some cheap Chinese tires that I'm going to replace eventually. I just want to make sure it all works. I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on these wheels and then find out they don't work, so bought some cheap tires to save a little bit of money. I'm going to get new tires eventually. I had to use adapting spacers to get these wheels to fit because they're a different lug pattern. They don't sell off-road wheels with the Volkswagen lug pattern, so had a 1-inch spacer with the adapter to it. Not a big deal. I kind of like it standing out like that. I think it looks really beefy and mean. Black wheels look really cool. Now time to work on the lights. A lot of people were complaining about the lights and how they stand out too much, so decided to tint them a little bit. Just using some spray, and I clear coated over them to make them last a little bit longer. Now for the headlights, this was not easy. Heating it up, bending it, getting all the plastic out of the way. Very hard. I made it look pretty easy in this video, but this was super time consuming. Painted the whole inside black to match, and also added a rusted ring to kind of throw together with the rest of it. I kind of wish I'd rusted out the whole thing because the black inside, it wasn't really holding very well. It was starting to peel up a little bit, so probably gonna have to take it all apart again and fix it if I want to do it right, but it looks a lot better now without the chrome. The chrome was throwing it off because there's nothing else chrome on the car. Now for the bull bar. This is a SUV universal bull bar you can buy for anything. It doesn't really bolt straight up to a Volkswagen, so I had to make some brackets and had to cut out the grill to make it bolt together, but I kind of like it. It adds a little bit of extra detail to it. If I can go back, I think I would build my own bumper to kind of fit the body lines a little bit more, but maybe I'll do that in the future. But I think it looks cool and it fits the whole vibe of it. I bought a hitch for the back because, you know, lifted the bug, you know, you need a hitch for it. And then I welded together a 2-inch receiver on it because it's more compatible with other stuff I wanted to build. And I want to build in a spare tire rack off the back that folds down, that way you can still get into your trunk, but it works with a 2-inch receiver. So I built all that, made it custom to fold out of the way so I can still get into my trunk easily. Took like a couple hours to build. It wasn't super hard. Bought a spare wheel with the actually good tire, so I'm going to end up replacing my rest of my tires with this Toyo tire. And now the outside of the bug is done. A lot of people don't care too much for the spare tire, but I think it adds like an extra element to it. Makes it look like an off-road vehicle. Now time for the seats. I bought seat covers for these. I wanted leather seats and like some, I always imagine like peanut butter seats. I bought these real leather seats from lseats.com, I think it was called. And they were really great. Very time consuming to put together. I was watching TV while I was doing it for a couple days and getting it all matching. The seats covers that came out of the car were all cigarette burned, and just knowing what came out of it when I cleaned them, I just felt more comfortable doing all new seat covers. And I like leather seats, so the headrests were one of the hardest parts because it was very tight to fit over that. Had to stretch it a lot. Putting it all back together, and it looks really cool. The peanut butter really stands out and matches the rest of the whole rustic vibe to it, I think. You may notice it's a little wrinkly right now, but it's actually stretched out over time because of the whole sun, and being in Florida, it stretches out really easily. Now the car is done. It's pretty much done. I did a little bit more off camera, like fixing up a few things. I was daily driving it now right after I put the seats in, and it gets a lot of attention. Like, I can't even explain how much of attention it gets. I see people like driving up to me and giving me thumbs up and like asking me to pull over a bunch of times just to look at it. People coming up whenever I go shopping and like talking about it and how it looks like an old Beetle, and they love the wrap on it. Everyone thinks it's a wrap, the patina and rusty look. And I'm telling them, no, it's actually real. This is real rust that's suspended in the clear coat. And they kind of like are kind of awed by that. Like, oh, I don't know how you were able to do that. It's pretty crazy. It gets a lot of attention. Sometimes it's really exciting. Sometimes I just kind of want to be left alone. But either way, I'm really glad I did it, and it's really cool. As for the off-road aspect, I took it off-road a little bit. It's not really super comfortable to take off-road. It needs some new shocks on it. It's definitely on my list to do. I need some bigger shocks because it's a little bumpy, and I think some new bigger shocks would actually help a lot. But other than that, it's pretty fun. Either way, I really like this bug, and I really like how it turned out. Maybe I'll do some more modifications in the future. This build wasn't really super popular on my channel. My boat stuff is like way more popular, but I'm glad I did car stuff. I like to switch it up a little bit. So that's pretty much it. Maybe do some more stuff in the future. I would like to do some engine modifications, make it a little bit faster maybe. I'm not really super into going like fast or racing by any means, and with the whole lifted bug with the lift tires, it doesn't really like to go really fast. I can get up to like 80 without messing up too much, without it shaking too much, but still I don't really go that fast that often. This is a cool build, and thank you guys so much for watching it and supporting it. If I do anything like little, I'll post it on my Instagram. You guys can follow me there. I post a lot behind the scenes, and sometimes I do giveaways. I just gave away a set of AirPods last week. I do a little bit of stuff on Instagram, so you guys can check me out there if you want to. If not, yeah, this was like the whole completion to a build. Sorry, I'm not really feeling super well right now. I'm kind of stuffy. This might sound a little funny. It's kind of unfortunate I'm doing this voiceover while I'm sick, but I gotta get this video out for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next episode. Bye.